Hey everyone, it's Christine here. Welcome to my channel and welcome to 3 things to know about this upcoming full moon in Libra. We are going to dive in. No music, no commercials. I almost cleared the space, but I'm not doing a reading in this video. So, full moon in Libra, an air sign, is happening this Saturday, April 16th at 2:56 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, New York time, just as a reference point for everyone. And wow, some of you may be feeling this lunar energy already. I'm exhausted. Maybe you're feeling tired. Your energy has dipped a little and it's kind of almost going counter to this Aries energy. And heightened emotions may be coming up. You may be feeling a lot of things coming up for release, for purge, and things that you didn't know before are starting to come out. So just a little background on the astrological side. If you are a sun, moon, rising, or have your Mercury or your Mars or your Venus in Libra, you are most likely to feel the effects of this full moon the most. And I'm also going to add North Node as well. This is something you're cultivating, and so some of you that have already stepped into this mission, this destiny, and are really cultivating your North Node, some of you may be feeling this as well. And I always say intuitively use your own guidance, your own trust, your own trustometer. It's not a word. I think I just made it up. If you feel there are other placements in which you have Libra that may resonate or may be applicable here. Also, cardinal signs, Capricorn, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, Cancer, Libra, and Aries. Oh, Aries, we're in Aries season and my head is already flighty because we are the initiators of the zodiac. Some of you are also going to be feeling the effects of the full moon as well. Very quickly, we have the moon that has a trine with Saturn, and this is something positive because Saturn is the planet of working hard, of really getting serious and doing things with love, but with focus, with hard work. And there's a lot of focus on doing things that we're responsible for, pushing through, a great deal of determination. And so most people think, oh, full moon in Libra, this can be about love and all of that. I'll get to that in a sec, but I'm not saying anyone's not going to meet anyone, but I'm not feeling that. I'm feeling that because of this, with the moon trining Saturn, it's mainly going to affect areas like work and business, perhaps some health and fitness as well. But I'm feeling like that, and particularly because it's in the sign of Aquarius, the sister sign of Libra, it's going to help soften up any situations in these areas. So it's not going to just make it seem like, okay, well, we have to keep going in one way, work in this situation or work things out with people really hard and it's going to be stressful. No, it's going to help soften the blow and kind of not like a little bit of like an Aquarius air sign pampering of sorts. So with Saturn, I'm just not getting this is going to be a love meeting of sorts. We also have Pluto that's forming an activating square to the moon. And if you think of Pluto's about rebirth, transformation, things that are hidden and secretive, taboo things. And so there may be imbalances coming up, power imbalances, struggles, conflicts, which is the complete antithesis to Libra because Libras seek harmony and balance, cooperation, peace, conflict resolution of sorts. But this is a good thing because Pluto, it's going to help bring out things that have been hiding underneath the surface. And so a lot of things, particularly when it comes to your relationships, and these are all relationships, whether they are work relationships, friendships, your romantic partners, whatever they are, things that may have been hiding, things that may have not come to the surface, things that are just bubbling and you can feel them, they're going to all rise up. And it's going to come to a release point during this full moon. This is also a great time to get comfortable with your shadow side. If any of you have been delving into shadow work or considering it, this is a great time to look into this and really integrate it, examine it, get comfortable, and do your very best to release any fears, any shames around this, because this is one path to empowerment. When we are able to really look at our shadow side and acknowledge it, And there's almost a radical acceptance of sorts when you are able to get a little bit more comfortable, pull up the rug sort of thing, pull up a couch, sit next, literally, park your shadow next to you and just sit with it and examine it. And so that's very brief overview of the astrological aspects. And I think I just moved something on the computer because I see these buttons come up. 3 things to know. I intuitively just felt, and I'm also a Libra, I should say. I'm a Libra sun, I'm a Libra rising, and I have 6 other placements in my chart, including Mercury, Venus, Neptune. I forgot the other 2 off the top of my head. But I just felt intuitively guided to examine the 3 things to look out for. And the first thing is balance within yourself. And I say this not just as a Libra, but in a lot of things that we're doing, especially since this is happening within the Aries season still. Many Libras in particular, and just the Libra energy, I should say, calls for equanimity, inner balance, inner harmony within yourself first before opening the door to anything on the outside. And so if things are troubling you right now, if you feel a sense of imbalance, chaos, and I'm not talking about like fighting necessarily, but anything that's wrecking, that's harming or intruding your own peaceful inner thoughts, your own inner sanctuary, I should say, it's time for a reset and for an assessment. Take a look at what's going on and what things are disturbing your peace. What would you like your inner peace to look like? What does that mean to you? Because for many, I'm sensing the scales have been a little bit unbalanced, especially now in the season we're in. Many of us could be doing a lot more than what we have been in the past few months. And it's also important to look at your priorities. This is going to help with obtaining that semblance of peace, that inner harmony, that inner balance that many of us want. And for those that have major Libra placements in their chart, this is like an ever-ending quest, it seems. So think about your priorities. What really matters to you in this season of your life right now? You don't have to look at it in the next 10 years, just right now. Maybe in the next month. What are your main priorities? That's going to help you really tie in to the type of peace that you are trying to look for within. And it seems easier said than done, but it's really something you have to be very intentional about. If family time matters for you, for example, and you're always running late with closing up work, whether you work at home or in the office and you're taking on overtime for whatever reasons, I should say, or you are rescheduling commitments because work keeps interfering, you have to have a real look, and you have to have a real look, but also talk with yourself, or an assessment of sorts, and really think about, is what I'm doing aligning with my priorities, my goals? Is this going to give me the inner peace that I want? That's one of the main questions I know a lot of those with Libra energies and a lot of Libras do ask themselves, and is this something that's going to help with this lunar energy? Second, love. You all knew this was coming. You know, Libra is ruled by Venus, the planet of love, of beauty, of worth, relationships, how we see ourselves, also money. But I am not getting with this particular lunar energy that it's going to be a call for love. Not saying you can't meet people. There's people that have been coming into your lives, and that's a totally separate topic. I'm not feeling that, and I may be going against the norm with others. However, because we have Pisces that's exalted, the moon that's exalted by Pisces, it has a more romantic type of effect that could bring in people that could potentially become a partner or someone you date or a love interest of sorts. But intuitively, I felt with this full moon, you're going to be releasing a lot of people. So on love, it's really important you focus on the love within yourself. This is a great time because Libras tend to look at love in relationships to others. And this is in general. Libra energy is all about partnerships, right? And Aries is about the self. So there's a lot of contradictions right now in the energies we're feeling. But how do you see yourself in these relationships? How can you shift from we to me? And this isn't anything having to do with being selfish. I call it lovingly selfish. It's so important because with the Libra energy, there is a transition and natural focus on one-on-one connections, all types of relationships, I should say, not just love. So it's always important to serve and to create and to cultivate and nurture your own foundation of love. Also, too, with the Libra energy, sometimes there's a tendency to be a little bit of a people pleaser, to avoid that conflict and to seek that harmony and cooperation you may want. And it could happen particularly because we have Venus in Pisces. And so sometimes things aren't as clear as they seem. We have illusions in our head of how we feel things are going. And so in that respect, if any of you are in romantic relationships or partnerships, just be very careful. Feed yourself first. Give yourself like that plant fertilizer before helping others. I also wrote here boundaries, personal boundaries with this love yourself first. This is something that's been coming up and it really ties in. It's really, really important. I kept getting boundaries. I kept seeing a fence around people. And to love yourself, there has to be an element of setting boundaries that are important to you. And that's going to look different for everyone. Maybe for some people, your weekends are off limits to social engagements because that's for you to refill your cup, for you to engage in your pastimes, for you to spend with your family. That is a boundary for you, a personal boundary, but it's also an act of love because this taps into what you're doing for yourself. I also want to mention too, something to consider here because the Libra energy does tend to say we, because of the partnership aspect, we are ruled by the 7th house. Many of you may be focused, especially now since you're getting out in this season, on others. But I would say with this full moon, reel that in a little bit and really examine your relationships to make sure you're not losing yourself in them. You're not giving of yourself when you don't want to. And that, again, this ties into your own priorities, what matters most to you in this season, and also personal boundaries. Okay, and the final one is relationships. This is like a duh kind of point because Libra, it's all about relationships, like I mentioned. All relationships, one-on-one partnerships, Libras thrive in that. And I'll say generally air signs, but Libras especially. And this is an amazing time to assess all of them, like Marie Kondo them. Literally, take a blank piece of paper, write down all your friendships, those around you, your innermost circle. And that could look different depending on your work bubble, your friends, and many of us have different types of friendships, your partner, if you're dating someone, and assess them. Because I am feeling a general release. In a lot of the readings that I've done, a lot of people have dissolved many connections and relationships. And so I'm feeling with this full moon in Libra, there's going to be a major release, not just emotional, mental, spiritual, but also physical release of people in your life. And again, that could look differently. For some, it's going to be this contract is over, it's done. And for others, it's going to be, this relationship is going to be reimagined and it's going to look differently. For some of you, it may be an up-leveling of the relationship, especially if it's romantic. There may be further commitment. Maybe you're taking the next step in the relationship. For some, it may be tightening, strengthening of friendships. People that you've just met, you're collaborating on a deeper level, if it's work or professional. But for many, I'm also feeling that this is a time for release. So like I said, it's important to really get clear on all of your relationships. Do they bring you joy? And it's not that hard. A lot of times our mind fights against our heart and what we intuitively know and we feel. Are your relationships balanced? This is key for Libra energy. So you can use this full moon to really assess all the relationships in your life. Are they one-sided? Are you overgiving or are you undergiving? Where could things change? Have you moved on or have you both grown differently or so much that the relationship is not what it used to be? Maybe sometimes we have to downgrade relationships from, wow, this person used to be a really great friend to now they're an acquaintance. And it's okay. Seasons change and shift, and so does life. And so the more we're able to tap into this and to really assess and understand how we feel, but also how we feel in other relationships, the easier it is to go with that wave, to go with that flow. In general, this full moon, it's calling to really examine where we could find more harmony in all aspects of our lives. Again, with our inner world first, because what's in our inner world is reflected in our outer world. I'm like I feel like I'm slow motion talking. And then looking at the love we have within ourselves. Friday is an amazing day to do any self-love rituals. If any of you do spell work, it's also with love, but I'm a huge proponent of self-love, bringing that back to you first. Because when you can really fall in love with yourself, things just start flowing in. All types of opportunities, abundance, miracles. And finally, be your own best friend on your own first in order to be a best friend to others in the connections that you seek. I think as a fellow Libra, that's my best advice with this full moon in Libra coming up and with the Libra energy. I know it's about partnerships, but I feel like there's a lot of imbalances going on lately. Anyways, I hope these 3 items helped. I'm looking for the word. I'm wishing you a beautiful release, a full moon release, and a wonderful rest of your week. If you feel called, I would love it if you could like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you very soon. Take care.